going back and dating right now, it'd be difficult.
I see friends that are going through this. It's instant. It's accessible. Churn and burn. You said something I didn't like. I'm out next. Multiple forms of communication that they're sensing. It can create a misunderstanding around if you do the wrong emoji.
Yeah.
Your tonality didn't have an exclamation point, but you meant the same thing. I remember talking on the phone to friends for hours. They'll remember those numbers from back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'll see you after 5 and maybe we can go on a walk. And it's like you get your pager out and you're paging them. Or you're getting your landline.
Pager.
That's how it was back in the day, right?
Oh my gosh, I didn't have a pager. Shoot, I didn't have a cell phone till I was 21.
Well, you didn't have a pot to piss in, you told me.
Not one to throw it out of either.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to episode 29 of Never in Reverse. I'm your host, Jeremy Axel, co-host, the man, Douglas Cox.
Good to see ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.
Once again. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. It's all welcome. It's all welcome over here. Bring it.
I figured I would open this one up with a little shot over the bow.
What's up, Doug? How are you?
Not bad. Not bad. How's it going?
What's it? We got a, well, hold on. We got another shout out to who? Who's the next shout out?
Oh, Cam Hayes.
No.
He's an Oregon boy too.
Cam
Hayes.
What's his podcast? Hold on. Let me look this up for you. Cam.
This is embarrassing.
Keep Hammering Collective?
Yep, that's it. Keep Hammering Collective. Yep.
I like that.
Yeah. He's a endurance runner, fitness guru, avid outdoorsman.
Are you talking about me?
Fitness guru?
Buddy, I just hit that treadmill this week for the first time in a couple minutes.
Yeah, how'd that hamstring feel? About to tear off from the bone?
Buddy, it feels nice.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
Cam, sorry for not giving the appropriate shout out.
Yeah.
Anyways, Doug has a cool podcast.
Some neat
might
artwork.
cover.
Elk on there. He's a big time elk hunter. Yep.
Where's he from in Oregon?
Eugene. Yeah.
Really?
Born
Is he a
and
Ducks
raised.
fan or a Beaver?
Probably a Ducks fan. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get him on here. Cam, we're gonna have to beat down Doug on the
Go
Beaver
Beavs.
believer over
Go
there.
Beavs. Go Beavs. Yeah.
Yeah, they made it to the national title. Did they make it to the title game once? I think.
Who, the Beavers?
Yeah, I think they did. Remember the Oregon Ducks? They were 1-2, I think, one year back in '99.
No, they didn't.
Chad Johnson. They were good.
Yeah, they were good, but they didn't make it to the national championship game. They played in the Fiesta Bowl, I believe, against Notre Dame that year.
Did they win?
Yeah, they won. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
they've been living on that one for a hot minute.
Yeah, that was 2000, 2001, I think. So it's been a minute.
It's a hot minute. But no, subscribers and everyone that's joined us, we appreciate you guys diving in with us on this next episode. And if you enjoy what you're hearing and seeing, please like and subscribe on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, X.
Places out there you can find us ramble. Yes.
You can find us.
Yeah.
So please join us, and we appreciate all the support. And in the future, guys, we're going to be having guests, book club with our direct network.
Yeah.
Keep on pushing the narrative and
Other
exploring
elements.
deeper levels of ourselves. And
Fun
yeah,
topics.
so, but this topic in this episode of Never in Reverse, going to go down memory lane. I already got my 4 topics to roast Doug on.
Oh, great.
And memory lane with Doug and his first modern experience of dating and love and who you were and what it means to you. It's going to be, we're going to have to get on,
tape.
yeah, we got to rewind this because Doug's going to get beat down by our
Hey,
friends.
and do not, hey, buddy, I know you've got some
Got a
love
few out
stories.
there.
You've got some love stories in there, as we all do.
What do you got? Love Shack, baby, love.
Shout out to the B-52s. That was from our childhood.
Thank you. Let's keep
Love
off this
Shack,
topic and
baby.
we can keep getting this conversation going another way so we don't have to face it.
Yeah, exactly. I wish we could. Yeah.
So first lessons learned, man. Let's go in segment 1 of this. That's going to be around, I think going back to your first early years and being connected to someone on that level of whatever we thought that was in a youthful manner. But what did it teach you, Doug, around that first feeling of when you thought experienced love?
Yeah, that first relationship.
Who was it? What was her name?
It was a girl I went to high school with.
What was her name?
She was a year older than me.
And her name?
And she, her name was Heather. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. No, and she lives in town here.
Nice.
But No, she very bright, intelligent, you know, she knew exactly who she wanted to be from the time that
Yeah.
I met her. She wanted to be a teacher, and guess what she is? In the educational system here in Central Oregon, and from what I understand. But no, it was my, as we all were young, right?
Absolutely.
And it's, you have that first feeling of love and then ultimately heartbreak,
Yep.
which was, it was disappointing. But she was older. She went a different direction in education, and I kind of went a different direction after, you know, high school and college, and weren't really on the same path,
Yeah.
And I think maybe in the back of my head, because, as our parents always told us, you're going to have love, you're going to have heartbreak, but you heal. I guess later on, as any young, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, you feel like it's going to be forever. Like,
Oh,
this
it's
is
forever.
it's
This is
forever.
it.
This
It's the
is
first time
it.
you've ever
Yeah.
felt that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be forever. But there was something in the back of my mind, I think about a year and a half after we started dating, that I felt like it's probably not going to be forever, but it's like I just kind of put that on
Did
the
it?
shelf and ignored
Yeah.
it, But then eventually we did. We broke up, went different ways, and took our own paths. But I mean, I think that's part of being young and in love, you know.
Yeah, I
But
totally agree. I think that, and when you realize what you think, and I think it's changing now, but I think what you think was love was sometimes a little bit of lust because you're not mature enough to,
exactly,
center on yourself. You're just
yeah,
kind of like, it's this, unjaded,
yep.
unexposed version of being, having a relationship and whatever that meant back then. And,
Well, and
and
as
it just,
kids and young adults, you're still trying to figure out who you want to be, where you want to be,
exactly.
and I have some friends that are high school sweethearts, that have been together for 20 some years,
Yeah.
and it worked.
Mhm.
But then there's others, you just kind of go on a different trajectory, and that's okay. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And those moments, I mean, I remember back with my high school sweetheart, um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, your brother and I have shared some very funny stories. I remember for sure in college, we were a bunch of knuckleheads.
Because he was kind of
Um,
going through the same thing you were
oh
too.
man.
Yeah.
And we were just like freaking, I look back at that stage and I go, man, how, immature you can be in your own internal system. And I had, just things in my life that I hadn't addressed yet that put, basically bullet holes in that. But I mean, when I went away for college, we split. We tried to make a long distance thing work. We did it for, I don't know, a few months, and it
Just
just,
didn't work.
yeah. And
Yeah.
when you're in college, when you're going to college, man, you need to go freely. I mean, I think it was just something, and it was a heartbreaking moment for me, and it just, but I look back and I'm like, oh, yeah, but was it even? Were you real? Did that person even really know you? No,
No, because you're still
it was.
maturing, you're still growing, as they are too. You know.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
just think that all that stuff, but the I'll tell you, it did teach me is that everything will be okay, and you can
You
grow
heal.
from it, and you can heal, and you know, th- some things that I did that were not good is just heal in the wrong way, meaning like cover up a little bit more and not make it harder to love me or harder to show love. So I just think I didn't take a very emotionally mature process throughout some of my dating life where I just kind of like, whatever, just keep not
Mm-hmm.
being exposed to not feel the pain, right? So that's to be real. Like, no one wants to feel the pain, but you can only feel that bucket of the other end if you're really vulnerable. And I think you got to expose yourself to get a true glimpse of what it's like to be truly loved for who you are. And you can only do that if you're really showing your deck of cards. If you're not, you're only going to
Right.
be as surface as you are on both sides. And I don't think you can give until you can't get until you give. And so
Well,
I
and you
think
could be
just
in a moment in your life where you're trying to fill some voids in the wrong way.
exactly,
You know.
exactly. But it's a lot easier just hiding behind sports and working and doing all these things. The false identity of what we do is a
When you're still
society, and
broken inside. Yeah.
and you're broken inside, and you're labeling yourself as all these things. And I mean, look at the Hollywood people, right? They're dying inside, a lot of those guys, and they can't be real because they got such a perfect persona to portray, but they could be really hurting, and that's
Right.
sad, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so those moments. But I think just that glimpse of just lessons learned around that love is just like, I remember that just looking back now and really actually thinking about it for the first time in a long time, it's like, man, you learn a lot about yourself, and you learn that it's okay, and you're going to be okay if it doesn't work out. And it's a better route to just be more mature in it. You see that a lot of couples still, even as adults, flailing through nasty divorces and all these crazy things. And at the end of the day, none of that really matters, but we're not centered enough, or we haven't grown enough to be able to,
Yeah.
the things that are bringing those problems up, right?
Bringing the demons out.
Yeah. And I just think lesson learned for me is just looking back is like, man, all those moments of dating and that prior to marriage is like, man, you can actually use that in a positive light and go, hey, I messed up on this end. This is where I wasn't authentic enough or real enough, or maybe I said some things that were hurtful to keep that person away at an arm's length. Don't let them into my bubble. But and I did that a lot too, right? Like, so I think it's just every journey's unique, and everyone's got their own story, and every person
but
is
fortunate enough, it's led us into the relationships that we have with our significant others, that through those trials, tribulations, those experiences that ultimately led you to where and what you want, and vice versa. So
yeah, exactly. And I think it's a positive thing. I think it's just sometimes people drag that first love on for a long time.
Oh yeah,
because I think I think there's always a special place that will always reside for every person for that. It's just something that you never forget. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be, it's not a wrongdoing. It's natural. Like, that person played a pivotal moment in your emotional capacity at that moment. That's for the first time, right? Or whatever that meant to that. So you're never going to forget how they made you feel, right? So if it was good or bad or indifferent, but there's, I think that people that do drag that along too long, though, you're basically hindering your ability to see through the clouds, right? Like, you just continually looking at the same thing,
right.
Like people that live through their glory days in college football, like, okay, that's great. It was a
great experience. It was, the moment in time in my life, it was a pinnacle. It was a high, but
now it's gone. And now what? Like, take those lessons and use those to your advantage. And I think the same thing goes with this, is like, man, all those dating experiences and your first love, and how that good, bad, emotional, indifferent, immature things you did, said, all that stuff can be still a reflection to keep moving forward. And I think that a lot of people sometimes, maybe that hurt expose them on areas that I can't relate to, or you can't relate to, but it stuck them. And they just felt like maybe they're unworthy of being loved, and all those things that come up, right? Like, some people or they feel a lot of shame, or whatever's happening in that moment, it hinders their ability to go find the next, maybe where they're intended to truly be, right? So, and I think, is time has transitioned from you and I getting married and having a family and stuff, man. This last 10 years is, in the dating world, is, from my understanding, from guys that I know that are in my group that are single, I'm like, man, the communication and the process to date, and all those things have just shifted. And we're going to take a quick break, and we'll go into, like, the evolution of communication from, like, let's say 15, 20 years ago till now, and what's happening. I don't even know, and we'll dive into it, but for now, it's like, I'm curious to see what you're thinking, is what your buddies' experiences are that might be single. So let us dive into a quick break, guys, here. And in the interim, if you guys wouldn't mind, like, subscribe, follow us on all social media, comment. We're definitely curious on this topic.
We're
man.
not on Tinder, though.
Doug is, what do you swipe right? I think Doug is.
I don't even know.
Doug is swiping. Lindsay, get him off there.
We're not on that social media platform.
I think Doug's on Bumble. What is it? Bumble?
I don't know.
Bumblebees.
I think that's the other one, maybe.
Yeah. Doug is swiping. Get him off there.
Swipe right. Yep.
Anyways, we'll join you guys back here in a minute, but we appreciate it, and see you guys in a minute. Thanks. Hey everybody, welcome back from a quick break. We appreciate it. Doug, going back on the topic, evolution of communication in the dating.
I don't know if you get. I don't
Well,
have
you've been
much experience.
swiping Bumble,
No,
Lindsay.
geez, I'm surprised you knew what that was. No, I
Because
mean,
I got some guys on there. I go, what are these dating apps called? Bumble. I got Doug's on there.
yeah, geez. Yeah, right.
Get him,
No.
Lindsay. Get him.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, dude, she's probably looking to trade me in. Who knows?
No, yeah, she was gone for a little longer than a weekend, Doug. We don't know what's that was a swiper.
Yeah, that was a swipe right. That was a swipe right. Yeah.
Hey, but no, man, I don't know if you got any. I can't relate to this either because it was just kind of towards.
It was
I
kind
would say
of it happened
right when my wife and I started dating. It was kind of there, but then it went really just. I think it just took over the entire world, to be honest with you, and it made it. But I'll tell you what, the communication. I cannot imagine how hard it is to date.
You know, to my mom's credit, I know she so after my stepdad passed away, it was a while after that. And she lives outside of LA up in the hills. So I mean, and
Yeah, she's got some acreage, right? So she went on Farmers Only, right?
Maybe. Shoot, I think that's one. How do you know all these?
Because they put it on a
Oh my
Farmers
God.
Only.
I don't know, but my point being is she has her little community, her friends, her social group, this and that. But
Yeah.
they're older. She's in her 60s. So, I think she joined Tinder or one of them, and she met a gentleman on there, and they've been together now for the better part of a year, and he's a great guy, So
Yeah.
I think she had some success in it. But I can't imagine. I don't know. I guess I couldn't relate to going back and dating right now at this point in my life anyway. I don't care. It'd be difficult. It would be.
Could you imagine having to adjust? I mean, I see
No.
friends, that are going through this, and it's instant, it's accessible, it's churn and burn. You said something I didn't like. I'm out.
I'm out next.
I'm out. I'm out next. It's text messages and multiple forms of communication that they're sensing, and it's dynamic in its own way. And I think it's like it can create a misunderstanding around if you do the wrong emoji.
Now things
what?
are interpreted wrong. Yeah.
Your tonality didn't have an exclamation point, but you meant the same thing.
Yeah.
So just a dynamic process around that. I just could not imagine. I remember talking on the phone when I was youthful to friends for hours. I remember you remember their phone numbers. You memorize it, and it was like I still remember those numbers from back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But now it's like you only have a few that you recall. Your wife, yours, maybe a couple others. But it's like it's changed the accessibility, and I think it's made the evolution of communication and how we do it is exposed a lot of weaknesses in our society, meaning like you could feel pretty vulnerable pretty quick if you haven't addressed certain things in this communication style, because you might feel abandoned quick because it didn't respond. And now all these internal insecurities but when back in the day it was like, hey, I'll see you after 5 and maybe we can go on a walk. And it's like you get your pager out and you're paging them, or you're getting your landline.
Pager?
I mean, but that's how it was back in the day, right?
Oh my gosh, I didn't have a pager. Shoot, I didn't have a cell phone till I was 21.
Well, you didn't have a pot to piss in, you told me.
Not one to throw it out of either. But no, I was in college, but I mean, in cell phones were still fairly new at the time. But
yeah, oh dude, I had remember the ones with like the antennas that were like this? You'd stick it up on shop, and it was like $1 a minute, dude. They're like, don't use that more than a minute.
Yeah, no doubt. But I mean, just you were forced to have a conversation, when
face to
face, or if you had a phone, you had a conversation. You didn't text, you didn't email, unless you had a pager. I don't know if you were dealing drugs too or what, but
I was infiltrating that. I was like the cartel going in a bend, buddy, just taking care of Bend High.
Gosh, a pager.
My biggest client was Doug. He's about 1 hour and 45 away from me, guys. So there's a Highway 97 is running that up there as a runner.
A mole, yeah. But no, it's interesting how the technology, in the dating world, and I know very little of it, but I mean, I see my oldest daughter, she's 15, and she's still so young at heart, and I love it. Stay there, please. Because just the way she interacts with her friends. And she had a little boyfriend when she was in the 8th grade, and they would text, all the time. They never on the phone, but it's just you see this generational trend and change in the way these kids interact. And it's no different than if you had a problem with somebody. Back in the day, you used to have to say it to their face. Now you can
Oh
be a
yeah.
keyboard hero, in anything. Oh, this boyfriend of mine, he's a jerk, da 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 da.
Yep.
Girls don't ever date him, or vice versa. It's like, ah, gosh.
Yeah, you're exposed pretty heavily. I mean,
Yeah.
it's I can't imagine.
And it's for the
Uh,
world to see when it used to just be a line of communication between two people. Now you're
and
putting
it's
this exposure out there and I don't agree with that, in the wrong ways that's damaging for all to see.
Yep. Whether it's the way that, I mean, in all these, I know a lot of just from a I'd say communication isn't just verbal. I think it's also
Oh, it's
visual.
body expression.
So no, it's all that. So think about this. So like, I have friends that are going through journeys later in life, and they're saying like, oh, they take pictures that are, 10 years old, and so they're communicating unauthentically, and all these things
Right.
that, I mean, I'm just like, man, could you imagine showing up and you're like thinking you're going to see some person that's X and they come in as Y, and it's like,
They roll in and see all your
so,
gray hair going, he's not 43.
buddy, I
It's,
just go high and tight, Doug. High
yeah.
and tight.
No, it's, yeah.
No, I don't. But take that hat off. We might be able to see some light.
Well, I can't. I got
Looking
my
on.
headphones on. But,
Yeah, we got to keep. No, but I just, it's the communication, and how accessible and how vulnerable with spam. And I know I had a buddy that I got spammed on some stuff, and I shared that with you. I'm not going to share it here, but it
Yeah.
was just a dynamic that was just crazy
Yep.
from misleading interpretation of a profile online. And so that stuff's happening. So I think it's just, for me, it's like, man, just communicate, get to know the person. Go grab a coffee. Like, just make it quick. Don't hide behind that platform of whatever that is. If
Yeah.
there's some area, I mean, that's how I would envision it. So I'm not really sure how to, address it, because it's not near and dear to my heart. But I can imagine that, going through that, and there's probably a lot of damage, because I'm sure people are getting ghosted a lot, right? Like, that ghosting process, which is kind of a new term now, or it's like maybe that person
Or
said something
fishing,
incorrect.
I
Yeah,
mean,
they said something
yeah.
incorrectly to you, and then they're like, "Oh, that didn't sound good," and so we're the judge, we're the general on the hill all day long, and acting as if we're in these perfect bubbles, and people need to say the right things at the right times always, or I'm out. And
Right.
back in the day, you couldn't just do that.
If you couldn't make a date, right, or you had to make a time change, like, look, I can't do Friday at 5, but I can do, Saturday at 4, and that might come off as I'm not interested,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where in reality, this person that's trying to reschedule has something that came up. But in a text or in a message, it could be portrayed differently, or you could be just ghosting this person and trying to move on from that in a softer way with.
Yeah, but that's where
Yeah.
I think like the baggage and the personal things that today's day, man, it can exploit those weaknesses and
Mhm.
flaws through messages and create ghosting instantaneously, because guys sometimes fall back. It's like a rubber band, and they move forward, and girls might misinterpret that incorrectly because we need space and all these different. And if you're not doing that together, I
Yeah.
could imagine the ebbs and flows to quickly get ghosted, or you say something, but in person you can look at that person eye to eye, and you can sense something. Well, during a
Yep.
text message, your mind's going to make that interpretation without that. And so
Exactly.
I think that there's just, but the baggage, and carrying that baggage and boundaries into today's age is like, man, I think without a true face to face relationship where you're actually building something together, that could, be really, really tough.
Or just
And
the simple way of telling somebody you're not interested, like,
Mhm.
or hey, look, I'm not ready to move on yet, and you just have that dialogue and have that sincere conversation rather than just going, I'm unplugging from them, boom, out.
yeah,
And
I
then
think,
you're standing there going, I can't imagine what that feels like. Whoa, where'd you go? Now you're just up
yeah, and
and
I think
left. I get I get no
yeah, no explanation.
explanation.
Yep, no explanation. I mean,
Like,
and
what
think
did
about
I?
that, like, and I think that the ghosting and the baggage and the boundaries that people can create in a true interpersonal relationship. Boundaries and baggage, you know, or kind of go hand in hand, right? Like if you're, I think if you're in a mature relationship, you're going to always set boundaries to make sure that they don't step all over your baggage. And if it's a healthy position, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
this doesn't make me feel good. Please don't do these things. If you're dragging in some baggage that is toxic, well, there's time to grow, right? Roll your sleeves up and realize that like
Yeah.
that spouse or that person that you're with, whoever you're with, is actually trying to make you better. So don't drag it. Don't put some wheels on it. I always tell myself, I need to put some wheels on that so it drives a little bit smoother in my marriage. Or I'm going to drag it and it's going to
Yep.
be
It's
going
always
to
going to be
heavier.
a problem.
It's going to be a problem. Or I
Yeah.
can listen to what's happening around me, pay attention to it,
Mhm.
maybe draw some internal boundaries of myself, or listen to some boundaries that maybe my spouse might be setting for me that are going to be better for the family dynamic, not just me. In
Yeah.
turn, it's going to be me, but overall, like I think that, you know, living that perfect harmonious layer is in on both sides is good if you can get to that, but that takes some effort, man. It's got to be vulnerable and you got to be
Well, and there's got to
open
be
with your,
dialogue. Yeah.
yeah,
There's
and
got
you
to
got
be
to be able
dialogue.
to, and you got to be the receptive and open to listen and hear from both sides,
Right.
not
Yep.
and slow down and not put your thoughts first or your desires first always. So, because sometimes those boundaries can inflict, you know, and I would think back to, you know, prior, I think, man, imagine if you got all these places of unhealed elements and trying to date. And I have fears of abandonment, right? Like I truly
Mhm.
do. And
Yep.
I can tell you, man, if I got ghosted, it would stem up a ton of
Oh yeah.
internal gut feelings that would spiral my nervous system. And I've been working on that for a long time, but it's there and it's something that needs to be honored and nurtured and understood, but it
Yep.
doesn't need to be chaotic inside of me.
Always.
It's
Yeah.
not,
Yep.
it doesn't need to always carry weight or insecurities or whatever's coming up at that. It needs its hand, it needs its set of wheels on the luggage, man. It needs its hand shaked, you know,
Yep.
it needs to
And
be
knowing
face
that
to
it's
face.
there and understanding it in the moment. And, yeah.
Yeah, and grabbing and going, I know what this feeling is right
Yep.
now.
Yep.
You know,
I
so
got
but I
this.
think but I think boundaries you know, sometimes, you know, I think that there's layers that can create a dynamic of excuses if the boundaries are set in the incorrect manner of I know some people that say I'm not going to change. Like that's a boundary that they've set and I know men that have done that. Like I am who I am.
Yeah.
And I've seen that in some, you know, relationships that are near and dear to me. And it's like sad. It's like, yeah, but are you showing up as the best version of yourself? And no one is because we're human, right? Like, and I don't think that we should ever continue to put boundaries up that are setting the consistent issues in play and letting them be part of that journey, right? Like,
Right. Well, and it's
like,
not fair. It's not fair to the significant other, you know, that you're putting these walls up that they can't cross, you know, and that's not healthy. That's not
oh,
healthy.
and that's what I'm saying, man. So like sometimes boundaries are unhealthy. Like, and they might not be a direct boundary where it's like, hey, listen, I'm going to set this boundary with you, you know, because no one's going to come up and defend that their
No.
negative characteristics are great. They're just going to say, I'm not changing. They're just, that's a natural defense mechanism when in turn they're dying inside because of it. And so they go hide behind video
An
games
excuse.
or alcohol or whatever they got to do to put, heal or feel safe,
In the
right? That's
wrong
what it comes.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
that means, and that's just a safety thing to say, I don't want to go there right now.
Right.
And that's okay. Everyone's journey is different. You don't have to go there every single time that someone else is looking for that. But I think that there's, you know, that privacy and secrecy around life and being hidden for too long can be detrimental.
Damaging. Yeah. Not just to oneself. It's others around you too.
Because the journey, they want to share that with you, right? People
Mhm.
want you to, they want to learn more about you on a deeper level, and they want to see the humanistic side of you, not just like men do. What do you do? I'm in sales. First thing we lead with is that, and we typically don't get down to the greater good of
Or
that
you as a
man.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yep.
the greater good, like a campfire, nothing holding back. It's hard to get there,
Mhm.
and so I think about, you know, and that's a boundary that our society set. That's not a good thing. It's like an expectation of men. I think that we placed on the men and women.
Yeah, and you see it in
about what,
women too. You know,
yeah,
where it's
all of them. Yeah, but men are pretty. I mean, we talk about a few things. It's pretty. It's interesting if you watch it. And everyone does
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
I think that together though, it's like,
The
those
fear of being vulnerable.
yeah, exactly. But we can create an area where that I think that there's got to be a safe haven and a boundary that allows us to keep pushing forward in our relationships and our marriages. But I think
Mhm.
going back to like relating this whole episode is like, man, I cannot imagine going from first love to separation, maybe in midlife or in mid 30s, would probably be a tough one, I think, to now and dating in that element. And the confusion that these applications have caused in our society to look at someone dearly in the eyes and communicate.
Yeah.
It's I would say it's a lust appeal from day one when you're swiping. He's not good looking, or hey, that person's
Right.
not my type,
Right.
and you don't even know him. What if
You don't even know
could,
them.
could you
Yeah.
imagine maybe they've gone through some hard times, maybe they were something and they're getting back there, and their story's beautiful, but you don't have a chance to learn it because you just said nah, and that's what's happened. Swipe next.
Yep.
Go.
Versus-
He said
versus-
that. I got 10 more in
Yeah.
the bucket.
Out.
Got
Versus
10 more in
you
the bucket.
walk in, you're with your social group or you're out with friends and you see somebody
Yes.
across the room that's attractive and you see their personality and how they light up the room and you just go, that person looks like fun. They look.
Lindsay.
Well, she saw that in me and she approached me. That's how it all came together.
Lindsay, don't let Doug, I'm not going to let Doug take that. Nope.
Scout's honor.
Did she really?
Yeah, she's the one that approached me. Yeah. And I was totally caught off guard.
Well, I know who wears the pants.
Oh, she does. Yeah. And I'll openly admit that. Yeah.
I
And I'm
know who
grateful
wears the
for it.
pants.
And I'm grateful
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
But no, so I think as we wind this down, guys, let us know your journey from like day one, that initial lust, love, whatever you felt when you're young, and kind of how that transpired in your life as you've gone through a journey of maybe marriage or separation or divorce and kids and all the stuff that is happening in today's society, has happened for a long time. But we're open to listen, like, how do you guys view the current
Are you out there on
environment?
Tinder, Bumble,
Yeah.
Farmer?
Are you swiping?
Farmer?
Tell us about what is it? No, I think it's not farmers market. We go to those.
Farmer's Market. I'm here for a date, a head of lettuce, and 6 ears of corn. Yeah, farmer's market. Yeah, oh my God.
What is it? I think farmers only. Sorry.
Farmers only. Yeah, jeez, that's funny.
Go to the farmers market down here.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know. It could get to that.
Hey,
I mean,
you might
you-
see
you-
that one across the way getting a head of lettuce and 6 ears of corn too at the farmer's market. Oh God.
Anyways,
too
but no,
funny.
we'd love for you guys to comment and entertain us on this journey and let us keep learning. So
Give us
until
some
next
laughs.
episode, give us some laughs. Until next episode, guys, which will be episode 30. We appreciate your time. Follow us on all social media, and have a wonderful day.
again.
Thanks so much. Take care.